Every child of God has his season. Right about now, it's all
check it. It's slim and zip. Just yesterday, I was doing polling, surrounded by jokers who couldn't do nothing.
Welcome back to the Proven Wrong Show. We are here. We are excited. And as you see, we are live in the studio tonight. I'm excited. I got some guests here tonight, and we're going to give them the floor in a few minutes. And I'm doing something a little different tonight. I like what my producer is doing. I see you, brother. He got my name in red.
That's it.
That's the first time. See, I be noticing stuff. And I also have a couple guests in the studio. They're over there, what I call the Amen Corner. My wife is with me tonight. Y'all heard me talk about her a few times. She's not on the camera yet. She's trying to be on the camera tonight. But I think she's going to enjoy tonight's guests and what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we get that started, just a reminder, if you want to call in, and I hope you call in live, the number is 1-800-492-5186, and it'll scroll across the screen throughout tonight. But we are live on Facebook right now, and I know my regular folks are watching. We got some guests. I know that your friends are going to be tuning in because they're excited to see y'all tonight and just hear about what we had to talk about. We got a lot going on in Jackson. And I had to go to Greenville, Mississippi today for work, and stopped. And sure enough, when folks asked me about what? Deion Sanders. They asked me about Deion Sanders. So, and as I was in Greenville today, I'm just gonna throw this out. We can chop it up later, but that's not tonight's show, you guys. We're gonna talk about Christmas. And because this is our last show before Christmas, because my wife and I are heading out of town, so we're gonna talk about can Christmas and can Kwanzaa coexist together. All right. And we're gonna talk about that because there's a lot of myth that goes around, and the Proven Wrong Show is all about how we can use this platform to prove folks wrong. And so I thought about that. Got called a good friend of mine I've known for a long time, and to see what he thought, his thoughts in that, and he said, "Sure, I'd love to be a guest." And I'm gonna introduce him in a few minutes. But tonight, let's talk about this Deion Sanders because it's gonna get going. I think we're going to keep talking about it until after the 2023 season. After this T.C. Williams, the new coach, proved himself, then I think we'll be done with that. Until then, just be ready to give your thoughts and your opinions. But one thought I had today, and as I was in Greenville and I wrote this down, I was like, wow, this is interesting. Deion came, and he was here for 3 years. He said God sent him to Jackson. Y'all remember that?
Yes,
he said God sent him to Jackson. And I believe. And he was sent here 3 years ago. Jesus was sent to earth.
Watch out now.
And his ministry lasted 3 years. And then he was crucified.
That's right.
Deion lasted 3 years at Jackson State. Now he being crucified.
Come on now.
But I want to see if he going to have a comeback story.
Well, he is.
See, Jesus got crucified and came back.
Oh, watch out.
Come on now. He got crucified and came back, and he did it big when he came back.
Yes,
so, he proved everybody wrong. And again, this is the Proven Wrong Show. He said in 3 days, you tear down this body in 3 days, I can raise it up. And he proved a whole lot of folk wrong, most folks wrong. So I'm wishing Deion well. But continue to, he gave us a lot to talk about in the 3 years he was here. And so that's it on that current event. The other thing I written down as a current event, I was watching the news today and I saw that the young man at Jackson State killed his roommate over some donuts. Did y'all hear that? Over some donuts. They were roommates arguing over donuts. And he got his roommate's gun and shot him with it. Crazy stuff, man. crazy stuff. So I'm hearing more and more crazy stuff about our young people, and we've had this conversation on the Proven Wrong show before about our young folks wilding out. And I said Nick Cannon get paid for wilding out. You know, and it's a funny show, but these young folks ain't nothing funny about them wilding out. You know, 19-year-old boy kills his 23-year-old sister, 25-year-old sister. Shoots his 19-year-old boy shoots his 25-year-old sister while their father is in the hospital, just had a heart attack. And if that ain't wilding out, I don't know what is. You know, and I also heard of a young man, teenager, killing his mother with a hammer. And I'm like, come on, young folk. And so just a few things, y'all. As we get ready to go into this holiday season, this Christmas season, Christ didn't die for that, and he did not suffer for us to just be wilding out like this, and so one of the things and y'all chop it up after I introduce you. I'm just rambling right now because this was heavy on me. Is how our young folks, is it because we were brought up to believe Santa Claus was real? Some folk were. Some folks were brought up to believe Santa Claus was real. And the same folks that told us Santa Claus was real also wanted us to believe in Jesus.
Yes, that's right.
And so as we get older, if the folks that you trust as a child, you find out they were lying about Santa Claus, now you're going to try to equate Jesus with Santa Claus. And so you lied to me about Santa Claus. Now you're lying to me about Jesus, probably. So I believe Christ is real. I believe that, and I'm going to continue to believe that. But when I became a parent, I did not lie to my children and tell them Santa Claus brought you them gifts under the tree. You see what I'm saying?
So once you lie, you got to keep lying.
Once you lie, you got to keep lying. And then once you lie to a child and now we're back at Dion. I ain't want to go there. Dion had them boys believing you can come to HBCU. Why take your talents to a PWI, a Power 5? We can go to our own and make it. I'm here to show you.
Right.
And then 3 years later, he dipped after saying God sent him here. Now, this is part of the crucifixion, I guess.
That's the part of the process.
This is part of the process, partner. You're going to have to keep dealing with these kind of sayings that you said. I'm not saying Coach Campbell told me this about Dion. I'm telling you, and folks been playing back his own words to him.
Right.
And now you dip. So anyway, tonight's conversation: can Christmas and Kwanzaa coexist? This is the Proven Wrong show, and we're gonna go ahead. Coach Campbell is a local organization committee of Mississippi, organizing of Mississippi, and he's also part of Jackson Association of Black Social Workers. Welcome, Coach Campbell.
Well, thank you, Vince, and I like to just preference what you're saying in terms of Dion. I got to go back to that.
Go back to it, man.
Because the Dion discussion is a discussion that is need to be happening. I was glad when he left. And me being a coach, I know that a coach inspires a university person.
Right.
A coach is a person that becomes a model for a person, a figurehead. And lots of people didn't understand he was not coming to be our savior.
Right.
He was coming to do a specific job and for the betterment of his own personal self, the university, and his family.
Yep.
And once he got that done, he saw opportunity and he went for it.
Yep.
It was a lot of other circumstances that a lot of people not talking about.
Right.
So how does this relate to the myth of Kwanzaa, the myth of Christmas, the myth of celebration?
All right, we're going to get to that.
Yeah,
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I like that.
It all connects.
It all connects. But like you said, he came for those three, you named three specific reasons. And at the end of those three specific reasons, mission accomplished.
Got his mission accomplished.
Why stay?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said I'm not in either one of the baskets. I'm just bringing it to light.
It's very important.
And we can have a conversation about it. We all need to be able to conversate and agree to disagree.
That's it.
You know, without pulling a gun, without choosing sides like Democrats and Republicans, polarized and everything.
Right.
Nobody wins. The lowest man on the totem pole always get left out.
Well, that's why it's important that when the work we do and the work we've done, and that's why it's so important that people understand the sacrifice that you made and all your whole life, and the sacrifice you continue to make, especially when it comes to Georgetown 833. That's the man right there.
Oh man!
And the sacrifice you made when I saw you, and you still look younger than me, but what you have done, we've had passed the baton to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So Brother Timothy White is actually doing the same thing that me and you've been doing. I remember when you was picking up children, taking children home, getting home late.
Mm-hmm.
So, brother, guess what? Brother Timothy White, if you want to introduce him,
you're doing a great job with it,
and he's running with it, man.
Yeah.
So,
welcome, Timothy White, Youth Outreach,
Yes,
and is that the proper name of your
Yes,
organization?
sir. We call it Youth Outreach. We've been in non-profit organization right now for 5 years now.
Okay.
Just reaching out to the kids that really need our help.
All right. Well,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Glad to have you, man.
Glad
Glad
to be
to
on the
meet you. I talked to you on the phone last week.
Yes, sir.
And so glad to finally meet you. You didn't know it was gonna be this soon, did you?
I didn't know, sir.
That's it, man. It's all like you said. I've been doing it for almost 25 years now.
Yeah.
With Young Life, and then 7 years with Jackson Public School. So I think I've earned the right to say what I need to say as it
Yes.
relates to these young folks.
you do.
You know, and you're right.
Yes.
Just don't let the hat fool you. The gray hair is there, and so I'm trying to pass the baton.
Well,
Just like Brother Timothy White is here
Yes.
tonight, and looks like he's under your tutelage. And so I have Raphael Jackson.
Oh, yes.
Young man graduated from Jim Hill High School, has been a part of my program. Is who I'm looking to pass my baton from Young Life to Raphael. So
Yeah.
prayerfully you and Ralph can get together and
Yeah,
work
just
together.
give him my information, and we can tackle Jackson together.
It takes a village, and I know we're going to talk about that as we get to Kwanzaa, but it's the real deal. It takes a village to raise a child. We've heard that for years, but the difference now is the village has changed.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
The village has changed. Back when we were growing up, if I did something at your house,
watch out.
I get in trouble by your parents, and then get it again when I got home.
Yes, sir.
And if you was my teacher, and as my teacher, you had the right to get me.
Everybody get
You know what I'm saying? And then I got it when I got home.
Right.
And so, but now, man, teachers can't even say anything to a child. Parents are coming to their children's defense for stupid stuff.
That's right.
And so and then teachers are no longer just being paid to educate. They basically glorify babysitters in a lot of cases in certain school districts.
Right.
Because of the disruption in the classroom. The child that really learns in school is that child that goes home and do homework.
Well,
Because right now, teachers only have time to teach concepts. Real learning happens when they go home.
well, you talked about the children, and you talk about what our elders have done.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure that I made this point clear. The reason why we have a lot of our problems because the failures of our village elders. I'm gonna keep it real.
Explain that.
When we talk about intergenerational conversations, most times older folks don't want to have conversations with younger folks. They disconnected with them.
Right.
So what makes you significant with your ministry and what you do in my ministry is we willing to talk to young folks and we ain't scared of them.
Right.
Majority of people who have a job or work for an agency, they're afraid of young folks. They're afraid to engage them. They're afraid of their culture. And it's because they become elder status and they become conservative and complacent. And thank God that me and you ain't got to that point.
And they forgot.
They forgot.
They've forgotten what it was like to be a teenager.
And that's why we have to understand that the failure of our elders to actually have those conversations. That's why it's important when we do the camp and take young people out and you interact with them and you have a individual relationship with them and you get to talk to them.
Right. I had a lady call me today. Well, her husband called wanting to know how can they get young folks to go to camp with us this summer. And I told him the process, and he said, well, my wife want to go as a chaperone with you guys this year. Now, I've taken his son, I've taken his daughter to camp, and now he said, my wife wants to go also as a chaperone. I said, I don't take chaperones. I say chaperones sit around with their purse and watch the kids play. I take leaders. Leaders get in it with them.
That's right.
Leaders go through the obstacle course with the young folks. Leaders go on the zip line with them. Leaders are on the basketball court with them. Leaders are right there in the club room sitting next to them, not in the comfortable adult guest chairs in the back.
Yeah.
I said, so I don't take chaperones, I take leaders. So if she's willing to be a leader,
Then she can go.
She can go, you know.
And most times people they don't want to be leaders because they don't want to follow. They have a mind that's set up. It's a word called cognitive dissonance, and you heard that word before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And to me, being a therapist, I work with therapy work all the time. And cognitive dissonance is something that's big in our community.
Well, let's get back to that. I want you to explain that right after this commercial. It's time for a break. You see that? See how fast 20 minutes went by? We just sitting here chopping it up. We hadn't even gotten to Kwanzaa and Christmas yet. We'll be right back after this commercial. All right, we are back. Listen. If you need some advertisement, don't forget. Always right here at this studio, advertising and sales. You can call that same number and 1-800-492-5187 and let We Believe TV take care of your needs. Also, we want to give a shout out once again to Garrett Enterprise and that crushed concrete. If you need that crushed concrete, don't get it from the bootleg dude that think they selling concrete like I did before I found out Mr. Garrett has crushed concrete, because that stuff we got didn't never get hard. It's serving its purpose, but I have to spray weed killer down on top of crushed concrete because the weeds think it's regular dirt. But we're right back on the Proven Wrong show. Again, my guest tonight, Coach Campbell and Brother Timothy White. You were talking before the commercial. You were talking about that big social work word you use. Throw that out again and explain it to the people.
Well, it's a real big word, but we're gonna break it down. Cognitive dissonance.
That's it.
Cognitive means your mind.
Exactly.
What's in your mind? And so what happens most of the time, if our mind been programmed for years and years and years, what's acceptable, then that's going to develop what we call our core beliefs. So our core beliefs is, Mama said do it. This is the way it's going to happen. Mama had the recipe. This is the way I'm going to cook it, right? When you get older and you start getting experiences, that changes. So your friends may tell you something different. Your friends may give you a different perspective. That's dissonance. Dissonance means disconnection. So once you disconnected from that, then you're making up your own mind.
Right.
So when you got children and youth that will tell you, well, Coach, look, I don't go to church no more. I don't believe in that Jesus stuff. I don't do that. It's because they feel as though they've been lied to. And cognitive in their mind, they have all these different pressures, social media, everything is coming at them.
Right.
So you can't tell a young person now that Christmas is not real, because they're going to go to Google University and find out.
Right.
So cognitive dissonance is what we don't talk about in our community. And unfortunately, certain pastors or certain people on the pulpit, they won't talk about it.
Right.
Because, it goes up against what the belief system is. And so I believe too. But at the same time, I understand what the concept of belief is. And belief is nothing but unverified truth.
Now we're going back to Dion. I believe.
I believe. Unverified truth. Now,
I believe.
Was him leaving verified to be truthful, or was it him leaving verified to be acceptable and convenient for him? See, it always come back.
Oh,
to
it's gonna come back to it. And you know what? It's crazy. And I tell folks, my wife bleeds blue. Because when you cut her, you gonna see she bleeds blue. Because my wife has spent the majority of her life at Jackson State. You know, from undergraduate to master's degree to PhD, and now I've been working at Jackson State nearly over 20 years.
Yes.
So that woman bleeds blue.
So she bleeds blue.
Now you see, and my audience and the regulars, they know. And my wife, I don't have red in my wardrobe except for Christmas time.
Except for the hat.
This is brand new, and I wore it tonight because it's brand new.
Okay. All right.
And because I was like, man, that's a nice hat. That's a nice red hat. I'm a ball cap wearing dude anyway.
Yes.
But the question to all you JSU folk: when did Jackson State ever have red in their uniform? The Deion Sanders era.
Yeah.
He brought that in.
Yes.
Now, the question is, will JSU continue to have red in their uniform since the Deion Sanders era is gone?
It depends, because variety is the spice of life.
You know.
And that's what the colors is all about. But at the same time, Deion, he brought what we call a whole different concept of how you style is.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that man could take
he brought swagger.
He brought that swag. And so what happens is that we got to see the other coach going to be able to do that. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I really believe, I hope JSU go back to what JSU did.
Gotcha.
Blue. That was what they did. They allowed, because of who he was, I believe they allowed that red, and a lot of folks enjoyed it. They liked it. It looked good for a season, but that season is over.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so, but because it's Christmas time, I'm gonna wear my red jersey, and because I just bought it. But let's get into the topic for tonight. So I'm gonna change hats, and I'm gonna put on my Christmas hat.
All right.
Because I don't have a Kwanzaa hat yet, because y'all about to educate me on the difference between the two.
Okay.
And tonight we're going to talk about, can they coexist?
Well, first of all, we talk about Christmas. We're not going to get into any deep stuff. We're going to talk about the basis of Christmas, right? Christmas, everybody should know, it's not it's a holy day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference between a celebration and a holy day.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving, which is the same thing as Thanksgiving, is considered a holy day. That's why they say holiday, right? So when these particular holy days were put into place, they were put into place for commerce. It was put into place that said during the end of the year, after October, all the merchandise that need to be sold, we need to get rid of it. So let's think of a way to do this. And so they came up with this. The Europeans did, right? Now, what happens, I vote, my mama, your dad, your grandparent, all your grandparents, they decided, we're going to follow that tradition. And we're going to make sure that we have the toys and make sure we have the Christmas tree and all that. Now, what happened is that over the time, lots of folks like us, we got smart because we realized that we couldn't raise our children and then tell them lies. Because my daughter told me, Vince, when... Because that one time I got mad with God. You had that mad with God experience?
Oh, yeah.
I got mad with God.
I was upset. I was mad. I don't get mad. I get upset.
And I said, I'm not going back to church no more. Forget that. I ain't doing no church no more. These all hypocrites, and I ain't not doing no more. So my daughter, she was 6 years old. She walked up to me. My wife went and bought the Easter dress, and it looked so nice. And she said, Daddy, where are we going to church today? I looked at her like, oh, my God. And Vince, I was living in McGee. I drove around that morning early to find out what church I'm going to go to. And I found this little church, and I went to the church, and I took her to the Easter celebration. From there on, I started going back to church. So I thank God for my daughter, right? But at the same time, I had to explain to my daughter about the Easter bunny and all those things. So those will be called fantasies, right? And so when you go back to Christmas, it's the same thing. It's a fantasy. So I always tell people that the reason why we do it is because tradition. But we got to go to the word now. The word says the tradition of man makes the gospel non-effective and void. What is the gospel? The gospel, the good news. The good news. So you have to understand that once you explain that to your children and you practice a different way, it's going to be a different outcome. So my children, we never celebrated Christmas, but we always observe it. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So Kwanzaa is a celebration of our African culture and our system of understanding who we are. It's not irreligious. It's non-religious.
Non-religious.
It's a African celebration. It's basically on Kiswahili terms that Dr. Malenge Karenge came up with back in 1966.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. When and where did Kwanzaa start?
California.
Okay.
It started out there, and basically what he did is that he used it based on principles.
You said 1940?
1966.
Oh, 66. Okay.
So started back in it became a holiday in the minds of people who already cognitively in their mind associated with Christmas. But for people who were more conscious and understood the communities he was in, they realized that Kwanzaa was a celebration of culture. That's all it
Okay.
was.
What community did it start in?
It started.
I know you said it was started in California.
It was started in California, and pretty much it was started in the what we call the conscious community or the nationalists. So you have what they call nationalists, the people that come out of the Marcus Garvey movement. Dr. Kalenge, he was a nationalist, right?
Right.
And he came up with the concept.
So did it as far as that community was it in Cal? I grew up in L.A. So was it Watts? Was it Compton?
San
was
Francisco.
It San Francisco? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was majority of where it came from.
Okay.
But it spread it fast because you had a big conscious community or nationalist community in California. They're a lot more progressive, you know. In nationals, it doesn't mean that you have nationalists who are Christian, who are Muslims, who have all different religious backgrounds, but they have what they call a race first agenda. They put our race first, and in most of different races in our society, the Asians they have a race first agenda. White folks have a race first agenda, but we don't.
Right.
And the reason why, because I brought my book, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Wilson, because we have lost understanding who we are as a people. So we can't never throw away religion. That's a bad mistake.
Right.
I always tell people that when the slave masters took and gave us their religion, we took on their names, we took on their traditions, we took on their diet, we took on all those practices. But when you know better, you're supposed to do what?
You're supposed to do better.
So now when we do better, it's going to be small pockets of us that actually setting up and doing things. But brother, I tell you, somebody got to stand up and speak out. And if somebody don't stand up and speak out, then we're going to have another generation who's miseducated, who thinking that something is traditionally accepted. And then we're going to be doing what we're doing right now. So we have to take Christmas and make it more, this is my perspective, make it more of a family day. That's why they say, well, Coach, man, you don't believe in Thanksgiving? I never did believe in Thanksgiving. They didn't give us nothing. So people say, well, happy Thanksgiving. I say, happy Thanksgiving. You know? And it's not me being rebellious and anything. It's just that I'm understanding language. Language is everything. But you can't forget to observe the particular festival, because this is what we're in the winter solstice time. You know? This is the lowest part of the sun when everything goes down. And then we're getting ready for our harvest. So this is a harvest opportunity. And so that's why Kwanzaa is very important. Now, what makes Kwanzaa significantly different than Christmas? Christmas, you get toys, you get Santa Claus, you got fabrication. But the thing about it is that Kwanzaa is based on principles. So the first principle is umoja. That means unity. It's all pulled together. We strive to pull together. The second principle is self-determination. And the Kiswahili term is Kuji Shakalia. Can you say that?
Kuji Shakalia.
I'm talking about. Can you say that, brother?
Kugi Sakalia.
That's what I'm talking about. So Kuji Shakalia means self-determination. That means you determine your future, and you look at your future and my future, and we bring our futures together, right? So that's very important. The next one is called collective work and responsibility. Collectively, I'm concerned about your problems, I'm concerned about your problems, and collectively we take responsibility for them together. Now, when we talk about the situation that happened in Jackson State, we talk about Deion who? Sanders.
Right.
If you have a collective work and responsibility mindset, you're looking at not putting Deion down, but praising him for what he did and pushing him forth and saying all the good things about him. We're the only race of people that we put our people
pull
down.
each other down.
We pull each other down. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look at what he did was good for us, celebrate him, and push him on, because he's a very small piece of the puzzle for the liberation and salvation of our people. So that's what's important. Collective work responsibility. The next one is cooperative economics and familyhood, which I know you all about that. The next one is purpose. It's called NIA. What's your purpose for why you do what you do? And then the next one is creativity. It's called Kahumba. We're always creating. And then the last one is faith. And so what we do is so different in Jackson when it comes to Kwanzaa. We don't just, we have Kwanzaa 7 days.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
not, nationally don't have a 7 days.
I was about to ask, nationally, how many days is Kwanzaa?
Nationally, it's 7 days observed, and a lot of different people all over the whole United States of America, they may have 2 days, 1 day, 3 days, but thank God for our elders. So there were some elders that put this thing together in Jackson, and I'm going to thank God for Baba Lakata. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. You might have saw him before. He's an elder in the city of Jackson. So basically back in 1990, you have Brother William Brown, Bill Griffin, and Baba Lakata. They met to discuss having all these various groups coming together and doing Kwanzaa. So several of these groups, they came together and they hosted neighborhood social clubs, and they celebrated Kwanzaa all over the city of Jackson, right? So what they did, they said, we're going to have it in one spot. And they chose the Medgar Evers Community Centers. So Willie Brown and Bill Griffin, they worked at the Vernon District Community Center. They was working there, right? So they were able to convince the city of Jackson to be co-hosts and have a citywide Kwanzaa celebration. And so they took a school called Adiyambo.
I remember Adiyambo.
Adiyambo came in and with the drummers. Adiyambo came in and made some things happen. And also they brought in the Nation of Islam, right? Also Women for Progress, Men for Progress. They had the Islamic community come in. Also, they had different churches that would come in and be nightly hosts. And then the churches, from there, you got people who were business people who came in later. So, unfortunately, when William Brown, he retired and he went home, he went back to Magnolia, Mississippi. Baba Lucati had to step up for the next 13 years and be the host for Kwanzaa.
Okay. And so we'll pick right up after this next message.
SocratesGarrettENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using SocratesGarrettENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
All right, we are back again, and I'm about to get out my Santa Claus hat. And I like my JSU hat. I just wanted to represent Christmas as we got ready to talk about the difference between Christmas and Kwanzaa.
Yes.
And so you had just gone over the origins of Kwanzaa, 66 and starting in San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
56 years ago. And then 1990 here in Jackson. So that's 12 years, right? If my math is right. And no, that's 20, yeah.
Yeah.
It's time for me to go to bed, I guess. I've been up all day. But 22 years or so, right around that time, it's been in Jackson.
Yes.
All right. And it's going strong. You know, now you said it's I've always known it was at the Medgar Evers Center, community center, and so where are we now as far as getting our young folks involved in Kwanzaa, and I think that will bring on Mr. Timothy, and we don't want you to just sit here and not have some dialogue, man. This last segment here is 19 minutes. We got 19 minutes left on this last segment, so we want to give Brother Timothy some opportunity to share as well, and so again. We talked about the myth of Christmas. We know it's a celebration. It's a time of giving and this, that, and the other. I know it's been hijacked, and it's and you gave a great narrative as far as how the folks in the retail business say, "Hey, we got this stock of stuff. We don't want to take it into the next year.
We gotta get rid of it.
Great time to come up with what can we come up? Hey, we come up with a jolly do to give away toys.
That's what we did.
And that's what we did. And we ran with it. And some great music has come out of that. Some great memories and blah, 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 blah. All of that. And I believe Christmas and Kwanzaa can coexist. That's why I wanted you to come talk about the pillars of Kwanzaa, the meaning of Kwanzaa, and how can we get our young folks and parents. And so there's a lot of missing pieces to why Kwanzaa is, I'm not saying failing, but it is not producing the way other events, what was it, Juneteenth just gotten big nationally, federalized, yeah. And so now we had this giant Juneteenth festival in Jackson last year, and we had pockets of small Juneteenth things going on around the city. So I know it's going to build each year.
Well, actually, I want to make sure that I make a point clear, because the Women for Progress were actually the first organization that actually was doing Kwanzaa in their homes.
Okay.
So they've been doing it a lot longer than they did at the Medgar Evers Community Center. But I want to make sure, from a historical context, I gave all the full picture of the history of Kwanzaa, so that people can understand the way that it was set up, and then how we're going to transfer the work that we're doing in Kwanzaa to the work that you're doing, and the work I'm doing, and the work he's doing.
And so as I see this picture of Kwanzaa, you talked about how Kwanzaa was family.
Yes, family oriented.
Family oriented. But we see now in our cases, man, in our community, the family is just, is almost extinct. The family is definitely dysfunctional. The family is disjointed. The family is everything but this unity that you talk about in Kwanzaa. So how can we now introduce a whole new generation of young folks to Kwanzaa?
Well,
I think that's a good one for Timothy, Brother Timothy.
In order for
either one of y'all can share on that.
In order for us to introduce that, we have to be out there with them, and we have to be able to have an engagement with them. So, Brother Timothy, that's what he's doing.
That we're doing.
And tell us about what you're doing to engage.
Well, we have our out of school program. We take kids, you know what I'm saying, show them, teach them black empowerment, you know what I'm saying, financial literacy. Just show them, you know what I'm saying, poverty is not the only thing out here. Like we got kids right now at the Dollar General with a couple parents. We accepting toys for our Christmas toy drive. So we just got to
which Dollar General? We got 15. Which Dollar General are you accepting toys from specifically for your toy drive?
They on Northside Drive. I think it's 3150 Northside Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, so right there by Food Depot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they there now. They'll be there till 8 o'clock.
And you got some other locations as well.
Yeah, we got some other locations, but they just drop off locations.
Drop off. Okay.
Yeah, so most of our Dollar Generals, they don't want kids in the store.
Right.
So I had to kind of, you know what I'm saying, rub a couple of shoulders with those. Yes.
So how do parents who are in need? Because I know, like, there's a lot of folks that's doing stuff for Angel Tree. This church is doing something. This church is doing something. That and again, when the water crisis hit, I was doing water giveaways for my church, New Horizon. Roses, I helped them with a water giveaway. And you see the same folks all the time. So we end up helping the greedy and not the needy.
Yes,
so how do we help? How do you really identify the needy versus the greedy?
Well, Toys for Tots, they go and get the people that already have it. I go to Sunset Apartment, let's say Lincoln Garden.
Yeah.
These are people that don't have cars, kids running around. I pull up on them, hey, Merry Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Go to Redwood Apartments, Merry Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Or when we do have our back to school drive, he get some school supplies. Go to people that can't go to, you know what I'm saying? They can't come to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody can go to Toys for Tots. Everybody go to Salvation Army, but some of these kids or some of these parents cannot. They don't have transportation.
Yeah.
So that's what my organization do. We reach out. That's
Yeah.
why my youth that's what I'm called youth outreach, because I reach out to young people. Reach out to people that can't be reached out to.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
So you identify them based on, like you said, those low income projects.
Yes, sir.
The fact that parents are there don't have cars, and not all of them, but some of them don't have cars.
Don't have vehicles,
and
yeah.
and then I'm sure you minister and give to the young folks that's actually in your program.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
We got scholarships. We in fact, my kids that's volunteering now, they iPads, hoverboards, bicycles, or mini bikes, whatever they want. My Detail Plus, my company pay for it out of pocket myself for those. Yes, sir.
You remember them days?
Oh yeah, I my wife and I was talking. I've been working since I was 12 years old, so I've always had a job.
Yes,
we
sir.
were just talking about that yesterday. I always have had a job because I came from a single parent home. I came from a mother that was on welfare, but I knew if I wanted to dress a certain way, my mother couldn't afford it.
Right. You had to go
So
get
I
it.
had to go get it.
Yes, sir.
And I wasn't selling no dope because I was afraid of my mom. You know, so that thought never entered my mind, you know, because my mother was 4'11", but I was more afraid of her than the police. Because she didn't play.
Gotcha.
You know why? Because she said when she told you something, she kept her word.
Right.
So if she said, I'm going to whoop your ass when you get home.
Her word was bond.
You going to get that butt toe up when
That's
you
it.
got home.
That's it.
So even though you may have thought she forgot because
She
she
didn't
waited
forget.
4 hours.
She didn't forget.
She didn't forget. And she come wake you up beating your butt saying, you thought I forgot, didn't you?
witness to that.
You know,
You
all
witness
that
to that.
kind of
You witness to
stuff.
that.
But we don't see that happening. I don't see it happening that much anymore in our communities. So now children are holding their parents hostage.
And that's when even like when I was raised, my mom would tell me, boy, get in there if I'm going to get a whooping, right? If we get a whooping. You know what I used to do? I would always go back to church. I said, Mom, what the pastor say? The pastor says you're supposed to pray with your child before you whoop him. She says, listen, boy, get in that room. I'm going to pray afterwards. So she would always pray afterwards, and I still get my whooping. So that's what I'm talking about. I still had some influence with church.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that what brother here is doing, I want to make sure that he's a part of the process of we coming up with solutions. So what we're doing with Kwanzaa this year, we having the first annual Kwanzaa Academy. And he's going to bring on some children to come to the academy so we can teach them about the principles of Kwanzaa, and also we can teach them some life skills. So tell us about
Tell us what you're going to do with that.
What you going to do with that?
Well, we gonna get some couple vans and we gonna load them up.
Load them up.
Load them up and get to this celebration we got going on.
Yes.
And we just telling everybody, just if you want to get a part of it, he gonna give you the information. You just text me the address and we gonna come to you.
We're going to get them. If we have to carpool, we're going to get them there, because that's what I used to say in the past, Vince. That's why I met you. You was out there, man. You was out there getting those children from everywhere. And I saw someone do the same thing I was doing, because I was a basketball coach. And I was getting them all over from everywhere, even with Charles. You know, Charles played for me. And that's where I got Charles from. Him, boys out there playing outside. And I said, you know what, man, come on, y'all come on in with me. He started a basketball team. Now he got a whole basketball program. But the work that you were doing by getting children, and I was doing, this young man is doing it as well. So with Kwanzaa, it's very easy to get in contact with us. All you got to go to is Mississippi Kwanzaa 365 is our Gmail, at gmail.com. Also our Facebook, Mississippi Kwanzaa 365. And you go to Facebook and you can find out all the things that's going on with Kwanzaa. So this academy is very important, because this is going to set a base. And what we will want to do, basically, when 2023 comes, all the different events you do with youth, we want to collaborate with the events that he does as well.
So do you have a actual physical center?
My roof fell in on my property, so we teaming up with some people that like Lowe's and everybody to try to get that roof fixed, and we'll be back up.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
where's your center located?
Well, right now I'm trying to see can I get over there his spot right now until we get the roof. It should be, I say about February. We should have everything up and running by February. Yes, sir.
But before the roof fell in, where was it located?
1379 Valley Street.
Okay, on Valley
Yes,
Street.
sir. Yes, sir.
On the end closer to Capitol Street?
Cross street from the Palisades Apartments, next door to the King Man. Everybody know Eddie's.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I own the big property, the big blue building, blue and white building with all the property to the right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Yes, sir.
Just giving the viewers and the listeners some place where they can say they may want to come help put it back on. Yeah. If you can get Lowe's or Home Depot to donate the material,
yes, sir.
You got some roofers out there, you got some contractors out there that may be listening and want to help the young folks. So I'm going to appeal to them on your behalf.
Yes, sir.
Listen, if you're listening, if you know somebody, you want our regular listeners and viewers on the Proven Wrong Show, here's a project. Here's an opportunity. This brother has a youth program, youth outreach. He's working with the young folk. We're always talking about people that don't want to help the young people. You sitting at home, you're watching TV, you're complaining. You're always talking about something about the young. Here's an opportunity to swing a hammer, to do some mulching, some landscaping, some painting, whatever this brother needs done. If we can get the materials donated, will you come help? Maybe you know somebody at Building Supply. Maybe you know some folks got a whole lot of leftover shingles that go on a roof. Matter of fact, I got some shingles I can donate to you. When you get that roof up, I got some shingles that I can donate to you. So, every little bit helps.
Yes, sir. Yes,
because the young folks don't care what color the shingles are on top of their roof. Long as it ain't leaking and it ain't
They
raining.
just want to be in there.
So if you got some gray ones and some black ones and whatever, it don't matter.
Yes, sir.
Long as it's keeping that roof protected.
Yes, sir.
My mother used to tell you got to crawl before you walk.
Yes,
I believe that.
Yes, sir.
The Bible says, if you're faithful over little things, God will make you rulers over many.
Yes, He will.
It also says, don't despise the days of small beginnings.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? People look at where I am now, but they don't realize what I had to go through. And I've been in this game for over 25 years.
Yes,
And we got vans, praise the Lord. But what I had to do to go through, to get the van. I done borrowed somebody's bus to pick kids up and then wrecked the bus and had to pay for it out of my pocket. So I done been through them days. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But stay with it.
Yeah.
Stay faithful. Stay committed to the mission of reaching these young people. And by all means, I'm going to tell you right here on air, do not violate a child.
Oh, man.
That's one thing folks are not going to forgive you for.
You're not.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I've always said, I remember I was on Capitol Street, not Capitol, I was on Ellis Avenue and Woodrow Wilson, right there at the zoo with a light.
Yeah.
Before you go over the railroad
I know what
track.
you're talking about.
This was years ago. And I said, and I prayed right there in my car. I was driving, waiting on that train. I said, Lord, before I ever do anything to make a teenager doubt you, take me out. I didn't mean take me out of ministry.
No.
I mean take me out of this world.
Yeah.
Because I know how impressionable young people are. And I know once you're trying to win that right to be heard and build those relationships, if you violate that, and a lot of people have, it has messed up our young people. They can't trust anybody. And it goes back, like I said, it goes back to what I said about Coach Sanders.
Yeah.
You building up these young men, and some of them came to Jackson State because of what you said.
Right.
And then you deuce them. You left them. And for some of them, you may have been the only father figure they knew.
It got traumatized.
And it messed them up.
It did.
And I'm not holding that weight on him.
Yeah, we just talk about in general.
But we just talk about in general how we have to be thoughtful and mindful of that.
Yes, sir.
And you look here, man, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. But I know when that word said that I shared earlier, being faithful,
Yes, sir.
Being committed, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay.
That's right.
Honor your word even to your own hurt. That's real.
Yes, sir.
God hears that and he honors that. He says, my word won't return to me void. You know, so all these scriptures, man, I'm not the dude that sits up and studies the Bible. Matter of fact, I wrote my notes on for the night show before I came tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes,
it just flows. It just flows. It just comes, and I just have to say it, and it is what it is. You know, but I'm telling you, brother, you do that and stay faithful, people be talking about you. And I know you're not doing it for folks to be talking about you, because I didn't do it for folks to talk about me. I did it because there was a call for me. And the Bible says many are called, but few are chosen.
That's right.
I knew I was chosen for
Yeah,
this.
there were plenty of times they want the news people to be at one of my events. I'm like, no, lead them.
They
Let them
come
be.
when when
Let
it's
them
time
be.
for them to
Yeah.
come, they'll come.
Yeah.
Just like it was time for you to be on this show, it's your time.
Yes,
So
sir.
you got the last 3 minutes. I'm gonna give you the last 3 minutes. Say whatever you want to say about
That's
your
right.
program, about your toy drive, the young folks you working with, all that. How you got started, whatever. Even if we go over, keep talking.
Okay. Well, my name is Timothy White. I started 5 years ago. I had my first year I had almost 30-something kids because of the neighborhood I live in, washing dishes. Just ride around getting kids and say, hey, look, come over here to the community center. And I can still call it the community center, even though it was a building that I had, that I just purchased or whatever. We had some little computers in there. I had pool tables in there. I had bought some bounce houses, water slides and stuff like that, just to keep them off the street. Keep them out of the, breaking in for a car, breaking in for a house. You know how washing dishes
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ever since then, it started getting bigger and bigger. We take them out of town. We have our summer program from June the 3rd to July the 27th. That we take them out of town. We take them to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We take them to Walt Disney World. We take them to Six Flags. Whatever they come to their mind, they're like, oh, well, we want to go to Six Flags. Okay, you know what y'all gonna have to do? Y'all gotta wash some cars. On the mobile car wash, they had to wash some cars. And on the catering company, they had to make some hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? It teaches them how to go out there and make their money.
Right.
And their parents were like, well, I don't want them out there in the sun. How you think they supposed to survive?
Right.
You gotta leave this world one day.
Yeah.
That's how I was talking. My mama didn't buy me nothing. I started my business when I was 15 years old. My mom kicked me out when I was 15. She said, you making more money than me, you gotta go. So I'm trying to teach the kids, go out here, make the money, be black empowerment. Don't work for nobody, work for yourself. That's what I teach. I teach them. I teach them, work for yourself. Wait, Mr. White, you got a big old house, you got all these nice cars. Well, if you want to do the same thing, let me show you. Let me show you. And you don't have to work a 9 to 5 to do it. I wash 2 or 3 cars and I go home for the day. So that's what I teach them. Go work, make your money, obey your parents because you're showing your day, and just be great, man. I mean, like I said, I started my business when I was 15. I've been doing it ever since. Our summer program, it been successful for 5 years. Our toy drive been successful for 5 years. In fact, we're having our toy drive on the 22nd of December from 12 to 4, and it's free.
Where's it going to be held at?
Well, it's gonna be mobile this year.
Yeah, you said
Like
you were
last
going to
year.
deliver them
Yes, sir.
yourself,
It's gonna be
right?
mobile this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
You
We
said you're
bring
going
them to you.
to bring them
We
to
bring
them.
them to you. Yes,
How
sir.
do they get in touch with you if they're in need? Not we want the needy to
Needy, not
give
the-
the needy, not the greedy.
Not the
no.
greedy. Yes, right.
Well, that's called 769-232-2397. Text the age, boy or girl, and your address. And I have a lot of volunteers. We're gonna spread over Jackson to pass out these tours.
All right.
I got a bunch of trucks
I
and
think
trailers that we're gonna be going.
sound like you're gonna need this hat then.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Sound
like
you
Santa
gonna
on
need
the
that,
sleigh.
that Santa Claus hat.
Yeah, we're gonna be like
and-
Santa on the sleigh.
Santa, you
On the
gotta.
22nd.
All right, on the 22nd, we got the Black Santa. Timothy White's gonna be coming through your neighborhood. Give him a call at 769 or text him the boy or girl
Yes, sir.
sizes that type of
Yes,
thing at 769-232-2397
And the address.
and the address. He gotta have the address,
Yes, sir.
you know,
Yes, sir.
to know where to bring them to. And again, man, God bless you, man. Thanks for
Yes.
coming on the
Thanks for
show.
being on the show.
That's a great opportunity for folks to get involved. If you want to get involved, I'm sure he's taking cash donations, and if you want to, his Cash App, is that on here? I don't see that on here.
Oh, no, sir.
But
He's a 501c3.
he's a 501c, so it's a tax donation as well. So he's not shortchanging this, you know. And one of the things I want to do when I retire from Young Life, I told a few people, and I'll say it here, is I want to work for a nonprofit. I mean, a foundation. I want to work for a foundation and give away their money. Because there's a lot of foundations who don't know they want to give, but they don't know who's a grassroots ministry that's worth giving to.
Yes,
Because there's a lot of people who say they're gonna do one thing with and they don't do, and they do something else with the money. We know that through Brett Favre and what's going on with them and those folks stealing money from the poor people.
That's right.
So again, we appreciate you guys for coming on the show tonight. Producers, is that it? That's our time? All right, man. We appreciate you guys coming on tonight. Look like we went over too, but I don't know. Maybe we didn't. But and again, if we need to bring you back, just let me know. You got my number, and we'll talk about something else, man.
Right, sir. Thank
That's what the Proving Wrong show is all about. So you proving people wrong. Keep doing what you're doing. God bless you. All right, we'll see y'all next week. No, we won't. Christmas. I'll be in California.
See you next year.
Next.
Every child of God has his season. Right about now, it's all
Yo, check it. It seems as if just yesterday I was doing polling, surrounded by jokers who